Hello viewers, welcome to another very exciting episode of the Big Leap from Mirae Asset, and I'm super excited today to present from somebody from whom I have learned a lot in these so many years. I've known him for 15 years. He needs actually no introduction in this industry. We are so happy to have with us today Major Ashish Chadha from Chadha Investment Consultants from New Delhi. There is nobody in the industry who would not know him. An ex-army person, that also from the front runs of the infantry, started off, then he came out of the services. He started this organization called as Prai Chadha, which then became Chadha Investment Consultants. This is today the silver jubilee year of Chadha Investments, started in 95. Now it is more than 25 years, 28 to 30 people team spread across 3 cities. And the beauty about the organization, which I've learned, is every employee whom I've met in this organization is so empowered that they can, and so committed that it is something for all of us to learn in terms of how to run a team and how to run this business, how to grow, prosper, not individually yourself as a owner of the business, but the whole team. So thank you, Ashish sir, for doing this. We have forever everything to learn from you. We are so glad and so happy to have you on this session. I would really want you to start and tell our viewers that how did all of this come through? How did the 25 years in 96, 95, how did the business start in mutual funds and investments?
Thank you, Mayuk, and thank you, Mirae, for such kind words. I don't think most of my NDA co-mates are going to agree with very much of what you said, but so it's very, very flattering. I want to enjoy showing this off to them. No greater joy than doing this with your old pals. And thank you for such nice words. I'm actually very, very privileged. This journey started much earlier. I think it's very, very difficult to be a first generation entrepreneur. And my sincere respects to people in this business and elsewhere when they decide to turn first generation entrepreneur. I have ridden on the apron strings of my late father, Colonel Y.P. Chadha, and my uncles, late uncles Rajpal Chadha, Prempal Chadha, and Mr. Malik. These gentlemen in various ways set up this business. And you'll be surprised to know that our genes go back to pre-partition Lahore. And my uncles were brokers on the Lahore Stock Exchange and in the shift to Delhi. And the girls were not interested, so the business was almost dying out. And then my dad and mom restarted. And I've kind of carried that forward. So we started back in 84 when dad retired from the services.
Yes.
We started from the normal fixed deposit broking and share broking. And I remember, when I used to come home on leave, I was in the army then. I used to come home on leave, nothing to do. Most of my service in the military has been in the field areas and on the, in high altitude or the desert. So never really had a chance to make friends in city street. So look at the advantage of that. I used to hang out with dad and mom in their office. And I would act as a messenger, drop shares to the Asaf Ali Road. That's where the stock exchange was. Or I remember go to
Delhi Stock Exchange.
Delhi Stock Exchange, correct.
Yes.
Sometimes used to go to companies, for fixed deposits in Connaught Place. Their offices
So
were.
it was just besides the cinema hall.
Correct. That's right. That's
Right.
right. So I used to go there, go with my dad. Sometimes go with dad for client meetings. So I think the nice thing about all that was that my fear of the unknown started to evaporate.
Lovely.
And my ability to learn new things. And I understood nothing because I'm not trained in finance. Even today I struggle. My accountant tells me, he says, boss, you still don't get debit and credit, but I manage all his money. So he says, you do your job properly, I'll do your debit and credit. So I think, I would listen in very keenly to the conversations. And that really learned. So I think leadership actually begins by being a good follower. That's my one learning in life, and by being a good listener. So I would listen into my uncle talk, my father talk, and just shut up and listen. And I used to help, I remember my earliest memories of marketing are going to drop those bonds came 1987 or something, or 92 or something. We used to go, the house help, young fellow, I had a cycle. So I used to go on that and drop flyers, in Green Park area, then in Safdarjung Enclave. So I used to drop flyers, and we used to get very excited if we used to get a call. So we used to put our stamp on it, with a phone number, get very excited. And then, so I stayed in touch, and because I had a lot of time being in field areas, I used to get the Economic Times and the capital market. So when my uncle said, why don't you read a little bit? And I would sit down and read all this, and slowly, because I was mostly posted in the field, I started taking a little bit of interest in the capital markets. So that's how, and then somewhere in 92, I was posted to Siachen. I was in a post called Bana, where Subedar Major Bana Singh got his Paramveer Chakra. And, when I was there, I remember I seeing the Milky Way, no pollution. You could see fighter jets flying below you. It's one of the most surreal places on earth. I'm talking of December, January. So the weather is also monstrous, but outstandingly beautiful place. And, I said, boss, I've had it. I said, you can't go higher than that. That's the highest fighting post on the planet, 21,250 feet or something like that. I said, boss, abhi ho gaya mera. I said, I can't go any higher in life than this. And, and I came back and I told my unit guys, I said, I want to leave now. And they said, something wrong with your what? Your what? Battle fatigue. I said, no battle fatigue. I was very fortunate. I got a commendation card there. An Army Commander's commendation card for taking on the Pakistanis. So that was quite nice. But I think somewhere there I said, my excitement phase of life is, I must make a change in career. And that's how in 95, I left the army and, got into this business. And initially we used to do fixed deposits and equities. That is how the business was. And then I remember I met someone and he said mutual fund. And it was I'd gone for some of these bonds, I think, to some office. And I met this gentleman. So he said, where are you going? I said, I want to go to this office. So he directed me there. And then I met him in the same office. I said, what do you do? He said, I do mutual funds. And that's how I got involved with the mutual fund industries.
A lot of people in your office call you by the first mutual fund in India. That's how your nickname has been in office. But I want to now bring one very important point I really like, and I would have, thank you for bringing that out. One of the things which I really appreciate with you is that I've been knowing you for now 16 years, that you have been a very great listener. And that I wanted to bring that part. The other part which I wanted you to come in with is, if viewers can see your background, that's all mementos from more than 100 countries which you have visited by now. So that's one part. So I wanted to bring in three parts to it. And one thing which I really appreciate and I have noted in you is, one is being a good listener. The second part is, everybody sees your background, that is all your memento from your travels, which is now almost more than 100 countries, if I'm not wrong. And the third part is, which is in the last 3 years, which has been your part, is yoga. Now, how do you bring in these three different parts, which are not financial markets and others, and how do you bring it into our core line of business is what I would want you to touch upon.
For every mutual fund distributor, investment advisor, whatever name you call us, the important thing, there are two sides to us. One is the knowledge side.
Yes.
Right? One is the knowledge side, which is, a bit of your, so you have to be a research analyst, a little bit of a fund manager, a little bit of a accountant,
Yes.
And you have to also sell, so you have to be a mix of a sales guy and a knowledge guy.
Yes.
Now, when you are marketing yourself, then you should not be a good listener. But once the money has come in, then you better be a good listener. Or when the money is coming in, better be a very good listener, because you have to understand what the client needs.
Sure.
Now, if you do not understand what the client wants, all your marketing in 3 years will go to zero. Case in point is how the industry lost the IPO market or mutual funds. You know, so in our industry, talking big doesn't work, because 3, 4, 5 years down the line, you will be held accountable to what you've done in the past.
Sure.
So getting a client into your door is talking big, but the moment he's sitting across the table, or you want to meet them and you're sitting across the table, you better listen what the client wants and then give them a realistic picture of what is possible.
Okay.
And see, in any case, God gave you 2 ears, no, and 1 tongue. So when you're getting a check from someone, you're getting a check, keep your tongue shut and listen, because if you'll do that, see, the first check is never the big check. The big checks, my personal sincere conviction is, we are not a bank. So let's be clear about it. We are not a bank. We are not a big wealth management outfit, which has, people from great educational backgrounds, years of experience. So the important thing is that our metal will be tested after 2 to 3 years with a client is when they open up. And if you've not delivered what they wanted initially, you will not get the big checks. And my sincere conviction is the big checks come after 2, 3 years of an association. Now, being a good listener is useful, will only happen if you follow well. If you do not follow well, you will never listen to people, because in this world, there are any number of people smarter than you. So, अगर आपको किसी से विद्या लेना है, तो उसका डांट भी सुनना पड़ेगा और उसका सेवा भी करना पड़ेगा. Even now, in fact, the other day, just 1 week back on my, I have a satsang group, I got scolded for not understanding the meaning of the word prabhada. I actually wrote it 100 times, because I was scolded, and I wrote it 100 times because, if you have to learn, then you have to learn. So I think, and being a good listener, you absorb so many things, when husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, father, grandchild, those equations. Like yesterday, 2 days back, I was on a Zoom call with a kid going to the US, and her grandmother was sitting there with her listening in, who's also a client. And, during the course of the conversation, I said, look, you have to at some point in time take care of your parents, old parents. They're very wealthy people, no doubt about that. But that father just walked in at that time. And he says, Ashish, I love you for having told her that she has to take care of her parents. You see? So if you are receiving, I was, because their parents had briefed me that, teach her the value of money. She's a sensible kid, but how can she maximize what she has and be prudent? So I think only because I listened, it was just coincidental. I passed that comment and he walked in. And I got such rave reviews after that.
Lovely.
And sometimes clients are angry with you. This is the nice side. When clients are angry with you, if you will listen well when you're talking to them, you'll catch the cue. Otherwise, you just miss the point. So that's why I think listening well is very important.
Your travels and your worldly view has made sure that you were ahead of the curve. You were always trying to figure out where are the pitfalls in the next 2 to 3 years. And that is something which has been amazing when I look at Chadda Investments. It is not about the schemes. It is about what is the path which we are taking and which side of the asset class we should be there. Some of that I know. For example, there has been a lot of your clients who have now international equities straight away owning those stocks, not about today everybody is talking about international funds and diversification. I know for sure that you have been holding them for now almost a decade, right? So I wanted to bring that part in, that it's not about, we are not talking about the schemes, but how do you look forward? Because this is a business of looking forward. You are asking for somebody's money and to put the faith for the next 5-10 years. How do you do that?
So there's a lot of serendipity in this. And the serendipity comes in if you do not choose to give your opinion initially when you're meeting people. You see, fortunately, the military has done very well for me in this department. They sent me to Siachen. I used to run a counter-insurgency outfit. And I used to deal with chhate hue badmash. So my company was, jail cheaters, people who had gone across the border, come back. My job was to catch them and keep that area quiet. And there I learned something very interesting. I read the scriptures there. I said, if I have to deal with a certain with this geographical area, I must understand its geographical nuances.
Okay.
And I read multiple religion scriptures there. And I realized that there is good in everything. You know, some religions are extremely democratic. You know, some religions have an issue about entry into places of worship. You know, some religions have a culture of vegetarianism, some religions have a culture of non-vegetarianism. Now, how I interpret it is my conditioning from the time I'm born. See, animals don't have culture or religion. You know,
Right.
that is how nature is built. Nature does not understand religion. Nature does not understand viewpoint. Nature only understands survival of the fittest. You know, which has been amply demonstrated. So your media, your military, your intercontinental ballistic missiles, they're all, no good, basically. You know, medicine. So it works up to a point and then it doesn't. I think I understood this very, very early thanks to this exposure. Because every morning or at midnight, if we were to leave for an operation, we were not sure if we'll come back alive. And my instructions to my guys was, I said, don't let any of us be prisoners. Just make sure that whoever the last guy, just shoot. You know, just make sure that we don't get caught, you know, because that had its own funny challenges. You have to get exposed to multiple points of view, sir. You know, till you are not, now when will you be exposed to multiple points of view? Now, if I tell you that, you know, there are cultures that eat animals that are revered by us. And there are cultures that that have exactly contrarian. When you are in the northern hemisphere, the pole star is your north pole, but when you are in the southern hemisphere, the southern cross is your. When you are in Australia, winter is summer and summer is winter. So what is right and what is wrong? You will only get exposed to it if you shut up and listen to multiple points of view and do not give your opinion. You see, opinion in this world is very cheap. You and me are in a business where every opinion next day morning has a price. For everyone else in this world, it is just an opinion, have a drink, you know, or argue with someone and go away.
Yes.
You know, so for the press, it is TRP and revenue. But for us, an opinion is money on the table, you know, so you better be careful of finally formulating an opinion till you do not receive multiple points of view, even though you may dislike it completely. You know, like I remember in 99, there was this huge frenzy of tech. I sold 0 tech funds then because I was just so alarmed with, P ratios of 2000, 1000. Because the P ratio of 1000 means the world will be taken over by sales, you know. So the company has to grow at 3000, 4000 times to justify those. So,
yes.
And we went into basic industries. You know, the company shut down, so I can take the name. We sold a lot of basic industries, which 4 years later had gone up 100%. And all the asset managers who had come out with tech funds had sunk.
Yes.
So that, and these were cues that I picked up from various people, you know, and even with you over the years, we have a great equation with each other, undoubtedly, but I've always pushed you back. And, you know, I can see you so many times wanting to hit me with a stick, you know, but till I don't push you back and get a contrary opinion, you know, because there's a 50% chance I'll be right and there's a 50% chance I will be wrong. You know, I'm meandering this conversation, but, you know, that point that you ask about how do you align? And fortunately, you know, I'm also a member of the top of the table.
Yes.
It's a great privilege and an honor. I think there are not very many of us Indians. And I'm a life member of the TOT. So, you know, the whole office has worked very, very hard. I think so all my money, all my life I've invested into travel. You know, and I think it's the best investment you can take because you are not taking any money up with you. You are only going to take memories of, I should have been dead about 4 times. I've fallen off a hill about 1,500 feet once, got shot by snipers a couple of times, had shells landing over my head. So that was extremely blessed. So I understand the meaning of you can't take your money with you. The only thing you will carry on your final journey is memories. And the only way to make the memories is to feel the wind on your face. you know, and the silence of the stars, you know. I don't know how many people have ever sat out in the desert or a glacier or the mountains or by a river and just looked up at 11 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock at night. You know, try that. And the universe is magical. If you don't realize it's not the universe's problem, it's your problem. And if you do that, you will, so when you sit like that or you're taking a walk through a forest, and you know, to correct you slightly, I have done 78 countries. The nice thing about being in the artillery again is that the artillery gets exposed to multiple viewpoints. I get exposed to the armored guys, the infantry guys, the mechanized infantry guys, you know. So it's somewhat like a sales guy who gets exposed to ops functions, marketing functions, he gets exposed to research functions, he gets exposed to compliance. A research guy will stay in research, a compliance guy will stay in compliance, you know. So that is the advantage of being an artillery guy. You get exposed, and what happens is that you don't call the shots, they call the shots. So you have to listen to them and give them a plan that works well for them and overcome opposition. The only way you can overcome opposition when they make a point, you see, because a fund guy, you know, how it works in our life is a fund guy will say 20% return आ जाएगा. 20% return कहाँ से आ जाएगा? No, in a market like today, when the GDP is going to be -10, how on earth are you going to make 20? You know, just because liquidity is sloshing around the world doesn't mean that you will make 20. You know, unless you get exposed to multiple viewpoints, and I think travel helps a lot, because there what I've learned is these contradictions of day and night, summer season, winter season. You know, I was in Brazil, in the middle of the rainforest in the Amazon. There's a place called Manaus. For football lovers, that was the first place where the last football World Cup was started from there. In the middle of the village, I found everyone wearing shorts, men and women. And I'm like, boss, what is happening in India? It's not going to happen. But that's how they live, you know. So I think the ability to absorb that in a village, you could have cell phones and, in the middle of the forest, cell phones, and then they were all wearing earphones, and these were normal villagers. So the contradiction is what you have to understand. If you do not understand the contradiction, you will not, and that will happen only if you listen. When you listen, you will understand. Then you analyze, boss, what is right? If you don't know what are the options, how will you decide what is right?
Correct. Lovely. So 25 years and beyond that, you have seen families. You are now managing second, third generation money, if I'm not wrong. Both. Lovely. That's long time. How have you seen people's wealth being created? What are those tenets which makes people stay on the course, and then that's how wealth gets generated over a period of time?
So I think, see, you must understand, I will divide this into three parts. One, when we were young, our incomes were less than 10 lakhs a year. Second, when our incomes were between 10 and 60 lakhs a year. And then is the third phase.
Sure.
Right? So I think it's very, very difficult for a young fellow to worry about all this. This is a very philosophical conversation when you're trying to get your next check in, and I remember the day I used to close a deal, even if I made $500, there used to be a Rajinder Ka Dhaba. I used to buy fish, and carry it. And my father used to tell me, so you had a deal today, it looks like, and next day in office, I remember once we got a 10 lakh check. So next day we had a cake cutting ceremony in office. We kind of celebrated those small wins. And most of those guys are still there with me, But when you are sell sensible stuff, like we always hold a PPF account. We always, after PPF, then we would sell those infrastructure bonds, and then these tax savers came along. So we made a tax saving portfolio of PPF, infrastructure, and ELSS. Those investments still stay. The other day a client called up. He says his 10,000 rupees has become some 1,20,000 or something like that. And the PPF account is swelled to 30 lakhs, 50 lakhs. So every time they see that document, what was the other big thing that happened? It automatically created risk control. 96, there was a huge default situation like what is now. All FDs defaulted, but luckily the PPF, infrastructure bond, and this money was safe. Yes. And that carried on. So I think the number one thing and I didn't know asset allocation then, but The downside was in PPF, you didn't make any money. Infrastructure bond was one-time money. But if you had gone and stuck all the money in LSS, you would have been destroyed by 2001.
Right.
So the first thing is that you have to learn to manage the risk and not make big claims. You don't make tall promises, because the moment you make tall promises for getting a check, and that is where the marketing guy in you has to step back. Once the client is in the door, keep them, genuine and in terms of return expectations. Because I think this battle is won or lost the day you set their return expectation. So if you did 10 and the return possible was only 7, you said 10 and you got only 7, वो client लंबा नहीं चलेगा.
Agreed.
So the risk is you have to lose the client in the beginning, and if a client is chasing returns, no, it is better not to keep them. And see, volatility is in your mind, not the client's mind. If you can explain this to him in the very first day कि तो 40-50% बाजार टूटेगा, तो जब वो बाजार टूटेगा ना, वो फोन नहीं करेगा, और जब फोन करेगा तो you can tell him कि बॉस देख 50% बोला था ना, अभी तो 40 ही टूटा है, why you worried, go back to sleep. This is exactly what happened now.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is exactly what has happened now, and this was a trick I learned from my uncle back in in the 90s, and my father. He always tell the worst possible how much the market has broken in the past, so that the person, see, after all, people have to understand that when you are moving into risk assets, equity markets or commodities, there is risk of loss of principal.
Yes.
When you are coming into debt, don't be stupid and go and put all the money in credit risk funds. Then you're not going to build a business. If you have a PPF account, an insurance policy, so they kind of, the time frames of investment and the risk profiles kind of, they kind of balance each other out.
Sure.
I think the number one reason we've managed to survive all these years, touch wood, and do decently is that we've always distributed assets across very safe and very risky. Like last year, we were doing overnight funds. And believe me, everybody laughed at me. You were among the few guys who kept quiet, and I had a smile on your face. And you asked me what the logic was. I said, yaar, mere ko to credit nahi samajh mein aa raha hai is samay.
Great.
And see how events, you see, you can't say COVID ho gaya. When you make a portfolio, these things will happen. You will have a pop-up like 2000 when tech took over, or recently overseas when, e-commerce companies took over. But a 2008 will also happen. I think that's par for the course. So when you're making a portfolio, you can't say ki boss COVID ho gaya. COVID can depress returns, but if you've gone and sold high credit, when you know that the macro of the economy is deteriorating in terms of fiscal and current account, and indebtedness and NPAs are rising, then you're asking for trouble. No? But if it is there as a percentage, it will go through. Why will it not go through? After all, karma takes over. No? Nature's cycles take over in that case.
So my last question was, a lot of people who watch this are people who are from the profession. So what would be your advice to anybody who looks at this, has been in the business for some time? How do you look at the future? And more importantly, when people look at this as a profession for the future, somebody who's starting out, what would you tell them?
I think the first thing is you have to read. There is no substitute. The second thing is you have to read multiple points of view. Unless you receive multiple points of view, you will never make a judgment. The third thing is, and you want to pull my ears for this, till a young fellow is making 10 lakhs a year, the sales guy for them is God. They better hang on to their sales guy and do, because you see, they have to get the revenue in to survive. ये सब अच्छा बात होता है, बड़ा बात होता है कि philosophy, global investing and commodity and blah blah blah. But for a young fellow who's making 3-4 lakhs, 5 lakhs a year, till he doesn't get to about 8-10 lakhs, it's not going to be sustainable. So the business has to stand. So I think these people have to focus on sales. And if you sell it as a low risk, low return for client, low return for self, medium risk, medium return for self and client, and high risk for client, then you'll be fine. But if you go the path of greed to maximize current gain, because remember, this is a business of the future. This is not a business of the present. So any sale that you make today, like we still have money lying over 20 years ago, unless an AMC has a problem with the scheme, we don't shuffle around. Like Some sales guy from your team only came and said, we were wanting to take money abroad. See how karma takes over. Your intention should be honorable. It's very important. We were very keen to do commodities because I was beginning to worry about inflation and I was beginning to worry about the rupee then. And I was extremely worried about high oil prices. So we went into the commodity fund. Unfortunately, we took two funds. One was yours and one was another AIMS asset managers. You guys, by the time you got the money, that scheme got a little delayed. By the time you got the money, oil prices collapsed. And the other guy put in all the money just before the crash, So both places we lost money. But instead of redeeming from you, we switched all that money because we just thought that the prices were dirt cheap and we kind of trusted the fund manager then. And then we held on to it, So if I had redeemed the cash, I think the important point I'm making is don't shuffle around asset managers. That's very, very important. In the long run, try and find the scheme within that asset manager, because you see what happens is when you shuffle around assets, it is quite possible that you'll end up putting all your money in three asset managers and get into trouble like what has happened now.
Understood.
So keep a balance. So this is not about your company. It is about, plus you see the advantage of working with 10 AMCs, 15 AMCs is that you get exposed to 10, 15 different points of view.
Lovely.
And you have to play one sales guy against the other. Either you read, if you don't read, then you play one sales guy against the other. The British have learned it from the British, learn how politicians do it. It has happened from historical times. So tum bhi karo. In the end, you'll add value to the client. So I think that is another very important point. The fourth thing is keep upgrading your technology. The fifth thing is meet people from different walks of life. Means try and have clients from different walks of life. The advantage is that you will end up getting multiple viewpoints from clients. Some of our earliest clients who were going nowhere in life are dollar millionaires. So we've kind of grown with them, we've grown with them. We're very, very blessed so that brings me to an important point, be loyal. अगर गलती हो जाए तो बोलो सर गलती हो गया and हमसे होगा. If you are working, the number of transactions we guys do on a daily basis, mistakes have to happen. It is a given. So instead of making silly excuses, call up and say, boss, we made a mistake. Let's please, whatever it takes to fix it, we will fix it. And whatever it costs, we'll fix it. So in the long run, what happens is business does not happen on Excel spreadsheets is what I've learned. It happens on word of mouth. So even today, my teams tell me, they say, boss, हम लोग spreadsheet भेजेंगे, mathematically explain करेंगे, वो एक phone call करके पूछेगा कि मेरे के आशीष से बात करा दो. There are a couple of very old clients of mine, ladies. I'm giving a very interesting example. उसको 5,000 रुपया भी दोनों को लगाना होगा ना, तो मैं दुनिया में कहीं भी होऊंगा, मेरे को phone करेंगे वो.
I know.
They will call. I could be anywhere in the world, and they know I will call them back. So कहेंगे एक बार मैं आशीष से बात करूँ, फिर लगाऊंगी मैं. So I think that is the only way to build trust. And my team guys have done similarly. I've learned this from my parent. If you will take a shortcut at the point of sale, in terms of asset allocation, you'll never have a long-term business.
I have never seen anything being discussed in your office which is short-term. I have not only with you, for the rest, all the people whom I know in the office, nobody talks about in the short term, and everybody is so clued on to do the right thing, and which is what they think. So really appreciate that. I think you have been so generous with your time. You were busy today, so thank you so much for doing this with us. I think this would be a rocking episode from our side with your knowledge to share with so many people. Many people have been viewing about it. We have been looking forward to do this with you for such a long time, and we have learned so many things whenever we have sat down. Maybe when the COVID times are better and when we can sit down again to have those chats which we have always treasured for such a long time. So thank you, Ashish sir.
Over some good wine, machar jhol and posto, So that is the way to finish this.
maybe yes, maybe we'll do that. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking out time and being so generous. Really appreciate your contribution to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.